As India, that is Bharat, basks in the glory of the moment of the G20 summit under the presidency, heads of various countries are all praised for the host. There is a long list of reasons to ranging from massive public outreach, pitch for inclusion of new members, institutional reforms, forging of new ties, and reshaping of the global order towards a more cooperative whole. But there is one reason that needs to be understood in right spirit, that is India using in the era of transformation of the world from GDP centric to human centric globalization. If one has to use a fine distinction, this transformation is actually from globalization to universalization, as has been stated by personalities of international stature time and again. Globalization in its present form has left many thinking about its utility to the humanity. Since inception of the term and evolution over the years, the focus of the process of globalization has been on the economic aspects of human activity. Gradually, globalization actually became enlisted, and the underdeveloped or developing nations remained deprived of the benefits. In fact, the developing and underdeveloped countries became source of raw material in the global supply chains, and the enlisted developed nations became the processors and manufacturers of the goods. The developed nations sold the finished products to the developing countries, and understanding of this reality dawned upon the humanist thinkers. The talk of the globalization emerged on the world scene. COVID 19 just reflected how globalization needed to be reformed from its present form into something human centric. Under India's G20 presidency, precisely this process has gained momentum. Hence, India's G20 presidency is of significance to the world. India has been at the center of the narratives on both sides of globalization and worked on the concept of market forces. Besides being one of the oldest civilizations on earth, India has an advantage of the right heritage of universal thought ingrained in her culture, coming up with a fine blend of these universal values, inclusive of treating the whole world as one family, as indicated in the expression Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and present day reality of the world. India has been talking of human centric globalization for a shared future. This idea of human centric globalization places humanity at the center of all the processes of the world and functioning of all the institutions. This was reflected through related talks of diversified globalization when it came to reforms in the institutions of global importance, like the United Nations Security Council. It was reflected also in India's pitching for expression of the BRICS grouping into BRICS Plus. Now, as highlighted by the Prime Minister, Honorable Mr. Narendra Modi, through his article, India's G20 presidency aims at achieving something far greater than serving merely economic interests. If all these dots are to be connected to view a full picture of the core of India's outreach and actions, one can say that India's G20 presidency aims at achieving universalization of human values. There is a fine distinction between globalization and universalization. While the term globalization conveys the sense of boundaries, universalization reflects boundlessness. Globalization may be restricted to the groupings with territorial interest, but universalization carries a sense of common set of virtues running through diverse groupings and interests. Already, the world recognizes India as a fine representation of unity in diversity. With the G20 presidency of India, the world is getting an opportunity to respond positively to more inclusive and yet expensive idea called universalization.